Red Smith Sports Award Banquet.
The main reason that this banquet was established was to honor at least 10 local area people who might not have been honored for the job they do to help in sports.
The Red Smith Award, of course, goes to someone who has made some unique contributions to sport.
Who has made a significant contribution to sports in the state of Wisconsin.
And also epitomizes the great values that Red Smith exhibited.
Let's give a Red Smith welcome.
Yeah.
You want to hold that up?
I'll have to go to weight training to handle this. This is beautiful and heavy.
Thanks, Roland. Hey, Mark, it's a little tough standing up here when people talking about you, and we both recognize that there's so many other people that help us with our careers in that. I was thinking back when the young students here were receiving their scholarship awards, and the one boy, David, baseball player, and he steals a lot of bases, and I put my arm up on him, and I said, "Who's your favorite Brewer?" And he said, "I'm a Red Sox fan." So, but congratulations, David, anyways. But I do recognize young athletes, and it's interesting when Chuck was reading, and every athlete played 3 or 4 sports and still had the ability to be successful in academics and that. And I grew up in a small town in Canada, somewhat similar. I grew up playing hockey, played basketball and football. Hockey practice was always at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30. And my grades were starting to suffer because I was playing 2 and 3 sports, so my parents told me that I had to drop something because it was just too tough. Education was very important. I told them I needed a couple days. When I came back, I said, I'm going to drop school. And that wasn't the answer they wanted to hear. But for some reason, I quit playing hockey, and I focused on baseball. Ferguson Jenkins, Hall of Famers from our small town, and that. Now, winning a Good Guy Award, I've always heard good guys finish last. I've been there before, Roland. That's not a lot of fun. So I hope good guys don't finish last in that regard. But Roland was a great mentor for me, and I think every young athlete here will have someone that's helped them be successful. And the one thing that doesn't get noticed a lot of times with successful athletes or successful organizations is the number of people that help. You know, just from the ticket office to the grounds crew to the people parking cars, getting people in to watch the game. There's so many people involved beyond the athlete. It is a shame today sometimes that the athletes are held in such high esteem and that. And I always try to teach through our player development system for our athletes to remember who touched them and who had an impact on them to get them to where they are today to have success in that. Roland, I know that I learned so many things from Roland. We had a blast, like he said, when we were 0-21. That was pretty tough. Imagine going to work every day, losing a ball. When we have a 3 or 4 game winning streak, we get ripped all over the talk shows and that. But 0-21, I don't know where you'd hide. We didn't really hide though, did we? We stood out front and tried to turn it around. We did through the development of young players, again, scouts and development staff. But I remember Roland, one of the things, I learned so many things from Roland, I could stay up here all night, but one of the things that I learned from him, and it really helped me with my career, when he was working with the White Sox, he told me this story about Bill Veeck, who everyone knows that they operated on a very small budget. And Roland went to Bill Veeck before the winter meetings one year and said, "Bill, we need some players. We're going to have to get some players. I'm going to the winter meetings." He said, "What's our budget?" And Bill looked at Roland and he said, "Budget?" He said, "What's our budget? I want to know what I can spend and whatever." He said, "Roland, you have to have money to have a budget. We have no money. Just go find some players." And I never thought of it, but you really have to have money to have budget, right? And so I've always kept that in mind. I think the most important thing is find the players first, and it's very difficult in our game today. I know that you had a great silent auction out here and raising a lot of money. I was involved in a silent auction this off season too. Yeah, those, what were they? What'd you call them? Those Yankees? Yankees that gave CC $160 million.
They had a play called by Yankees and another word in front of it, right?
Yeah, and that so, but it's been a great off season. I recently did receive an award. I was in Kansas City, and I felt a little awkward receiving this award. Felt uncomfortable. It was an executive award, and I didn't go to college. It was a baseball award, and I grew up playing hockey. It was in Kansas City, and I'm from Canada, and it was at the Negro League Hall of Fame Museum, and but I was honored and received the award, and if anyone ever has the opportunity to go to the Negro League Hall of Fame Museum in Kansas City, you should do it. It really opened my eyes to probably how ignorant we were back then to not give the African American players, the Negro athletes, baseball players, the opportunity to get into our game. You know, 40% of the players on the Negro League All-Star teams back then went to college. 1% of the major league players went to college. And so I think it was an eye-opener for me to recognize that not only were the Negro League All-Stars and players were highly skilled, physically skilled players, they were very intelligent, classy players too, that just did not get the opportunity to play. And you know, when Jackie Robinson opened the door, it just made our game so much better. And we continue to try to push and hope that we can get more African players in our game today. But I was real honored when I received that award. And that, but if you ever get a chance to go there. Again, Roland, you know, my kids call him Uncle Roland. We got that kind of a relationship. He helped my wife, my family. Like I said, for me to have a great career in baseball, to be able to be 30, well, I started in 72, whatever that is, a lot of years in the game, and I've met a lot of people. And the most important people are the people that work for you. I got a great staff over here that has helped me turn the Brewers around, because I know 4 or 5 years ago, you know, they told me I could have 10 minutes to talk about the Brewers. There really wasn't 10 minutes to talk about the Brewers. There wasn't a whole lot to say back then, about 5 years ago, to say what kind of team we had. And that, but now we got a successful team, but we would not have been there if it wasn't for the fans. The first year, 1.7 million fans. Now 3.2 million fans, 21 straight sellouts last year. But it's a real credit to you, the fans, who put a lot of faith in and trusted our baseball operations staff, and trusted the Orioles. That's when I worked with you. The Brewers organization.
About the Boston Braves.
Yeah. To put a lot of faith and trust in Brewers organization, because that's how organizations have to be run. We all have to trust each other, each department. We got a player development department, a scouting department, a business side, amateur scouts, pro scouts. Play 162 games in 180 days. We can get on each other's nerves. A lot of things can happen, but you got to trust each other. Each department has to focus on what they have to do, trust each other, and all go for the common goal. I know we had a great year this year. We won 90 ball games. The one thing I don't want people to forget about Ned Yost. I know there's a lot of people, detractors out there, but with Ned. But you know, we won 90 games. We never had a 300 hitter. We never had a relief pitcher that saved 30 games. And the most wins we had from a starter was 14. And there wasn't another team in baseball that won as many games as we did without without the production of 300 hitters. Phillies had a 16-game winner, a 17-game winner. Brad Lidge saved 45 games. So even though Ned didn't get a chance to finish it, he should still be remembered. I hope people remember him because we wouldn't have been where we were to have the opportunity to win without us having the record. And I remember when J.J. Hardy, his first year, was hitting 150 and 160 the first couple months, and people were wanting us to send J.J. down, and Ned would say, hey, I will take losses on my back for future wins for the Brewers. He's going to stay and be my shortstop. And the same thing with other young players when they were struggling. There was attempts where we would go down and talk about making moves, and he said, no, these young kids are our future. They're going to learn, they're going to develop, they're going to make mistakes here, and he said, I'll take the brunt of the criticism. And he did, and I just wished he'd had the chance to finish. But we turned the page, and we got a new manager, Ken Maka. This year is going to be our manager, Willie Randolph, a New York Met manager, played with the Brewers for a year. Is going to join us on the coaching staff. Brad Fisher, from Madison, Wisconsin, is going to be on our coaching staff, coaching third base. I was in Madison last night at a banquet, and they gave Brad Fisher, he was born and raised there and played Little League ball and grew up in Madison, and they gave him a nice ovation, and I told him, I said, that's the end of that as soon as that first runner gets thrown out at home plate. I said, Brad, all your friends will remember you at third base and that, but he's a very talented baseball guy. Again, I just want to thank the Red Smith Club here for giving me the opportunity to receive this award. Again, all the athletes, all the people that are involved in helping to raise money for a great cause, and again, to the award winners up here. Again, coming to Appleton, I know everybody has talked about it. What a treat, what a pleasure. I know that what we look for in minor league teams are minor league teams that are well run and well managed, and Rob does a great job, and we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be tough to beat the history of what Roland did with those White Sox players. And Rob, I hope we can provide you a pitcher that's 18-2. I know, look at Jeff smiling there too, but come on out and support the Timber Rattlers. I'll be here a lot. That's one of the things that I do enjoy about us coming to Appleton is I'll get a chance to spend time in Appleton because you people have been so great to the Brewers. Again, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Please subscribe to this channel, give this video a thumbs up, and hit that notification bell so you get notified when we post another great episode or interview. Download the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.